here from the LA Rams. Shout out to Steve Taylor, the real sports guy, and the honorary Ram. When Steve's talks sports, you better listen. Thanks, Steve from the Rams, for your continued support and love. We are taking it all the way this year, but you already know that. Go Rams.
It's Albert Prince Bell, 21-0 checking in, and you rocking with Keeping It Real Sports. And we're gonna be on here a lot of times. I love the platform. Check in, it's the new wave. Like, follow, subscribe, and do all that good stuff.
Oh, welcome to the Keeping It Real Sports Podcast. I am your boy. I'm the real sports guy, Steve Taylor. You know, he is the Sandman, Andy Sanzada. Another big show, college football week 1. We got a plethora of games. We're going to break those down. And guess what? The return of who you got. We're going to find out if the Sandman can bring it this year. But we got much more. We continue our NFL coverage as we break down the quarterbacks of the AFC West. And, of course, we're going to give you the real top 10 teams in the country. We've got that and a whole lot more. Andy, how the heck are you, my brother?
Oh, Steve, man, it's a great day. Game day, Ohio State, Notre Dame later on tonight, and a bonus for me, and I'll tell you about that here shortly.
Ooh. Man, so much going on in the world of sports, man. Let's see what is hot off the press.
Steve, the hottest story in sports period right now has to be this. And the College Football Playoff Committee voted yesterday to expand the playoffs to 12 teams starting in 2026. However, there's going to be pressure to start it next year. Not next year. Excuse me, 2024. Sorry. 2024 is when they want to see it start, but the vote was for it to start in 2026. Let's take a look at a breakdown of what that might look like in a couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you're going to get the 12-team playoffs, Andy. What you're going to get is you're going to get the 6 conference champions that are going to get in. The top 4 seeds of those conference champions, they'll get first-round byes. 5 through 12 will play, but the higher-rated team will get home games, man. And this will continue on. The next round, the semifinals will go into the bowl games, and it will get into business as usual, man. But this is an exciting time. We saw this coming. It's here.
It's here. I don't know about 12. I think 8 would have been okay for me. I think 12 is a little too much. But you know what I think, Steve? It's not going to matter because the same 5 or 6 teams are going to be the same 5 or 6 teams.
It is what it is. You know what else it is, man?
It's time for quick hitters.
Quick hitters.
All right, Steve. Well, what a comeback last week for Rory McIlroy. He comes from 6 shots behind. He already started 6 shots behind. In round 1, Scotty Scheffler was 10 under because he was ranked first. Rory McIlroy was ranked 6th. He was 4 under. It didn't matter. He played amazing golf last Sunday to finish the 3rd round and play the 4th round in the same day and still win. And by the way, he did something that not even Tiger Woods has done, Steve Taylor. He's the first ever to win 3 FedEx Cups.
Yeah, that he did. I tell you what, man. Hey, man, my quick hitter, man, you got to look, man, at the week, man. It happened, man, in New York, man. And when you're talking about that, it's the U.S. Open this week, man. And last night in particular, you got the melancholy goodbye of Serena Williams a 41-year-old mother playing a 3-hour match. Man, are you serious, man?
Yeah, it was the longest match in her
just
career.
persevering and overcoming.
Yeah, and
3 hours, man. And I've definitely said that.
Looks like Steve's having some technical difficulties there, so I think we're going to move on here. So today I said there was a bonus. Here's the bonus, folks. This afternoon at 1 o'clock, it's the first live WWE event in the UK in 30 years. It's Clash at the Castle. My man, Drew McIntyre, trying to take down the 2-year reign of Roman Reigns. That'll lead the way, obviously, with Drew being from Scotland. But you also have Sheamus taking on Gunther, Sheamus being from Ireland. It's going to be a great pay-per-view. I'm really excited, and that gives me it gets me through the afternoon to set up for the Ohio State Notre Dame game, for sure. All right, Steve, what do you got?
Killer number 2, man. Well, you know what? It's got to be the big trade this week, Andy. You're breaking down, man. The Cleveland Cavaliers, they go out and they get their guy. They get Donovan Mitchell. They gave up a ton. My question is he the guy or is he just another guy? Cleveland thinks that he is the guy. But I tell you what, to go with that young group that they got, it's very promising. I like what the Cleveland Cavaliers are doing.
Yeah, I think the Cavs have become one of the favorites in the East now, Steve. That lineup is going to be spectacular to watch all season, especially for me. All right, so that's going to do it for Quick Hitters, but we're not done just yet, right? We think we got a few more stories coming along here.
Oh, by the way.
All right. Oh, by the way, Steve, did you know that 6 more PGA Tour players left this week to play in the LIV Golf Series? Cameron Smith, obviously the biggest name yet for LIV to get. We don't know the exacts of the contract. It's probably somewhere around $140 million is what we're saying. But all of these players had the same reason, Steve, the financial offers and the schedule flexibility. Will we see more? Only time will tell.
Hey, oh, by the way, you know where I'm going to be at tonight? The Huntington Center. And guess what? A live Between the Gloves is going to happen there at the Albert the Prince Bell fight tonight. We're talking about championship fight right here in the Glass City. He'll be defending his championship against Nicholas Polanco. This is a big-time fight, looking to push him into a top 10 fight. Oh, by the way, I'll be in the house.
Oh, that's going to be exciting. I can't wait to see what you got put together for Between the Gloves from there. Oh, by the way, Steve, check this out. What are the odds? Exact same day, 21 years later, Serena wins at the U.S. Open. Albert Pujols hits a home run. Vladimir Guerrero, Craig Biggio, and Dante Bichette all record a hit. Well, guess what? Their kids did it as well, and Serena won her first-round match. I mean, that's just crazy to me. I had to talk about that this week because what are the odds? 21 years, same happening on the same day. I mean, you got a better chance of winning the lottery.
Yeah, true. Hey, oh, by the way, guess what? Russell Wilson and the Broncos agree on a 5-year, $245 million deal. I mean, he is just the latest quarterback, man, to get paid, man.
Yeah. I mean, you know, what choice did Denver have, though? I mean, they had to pay him, right?
Well, he was already under contract, but to pay him again, I mean, to give him 5 years at $245 million, man.
We have to get one of those in every week if we can, right? You know, 162 of that, by the way, is guaranteed.
Yeah.
So,
guaranteed.
All right,
hey,
Steve,
man, let's hurry it up.
Good.
Let's hurry it up.
Hurry up.
All right, in the hurry up this week, we're going to take a look at the AFC West quarterback rankings. All right, as all of you have known that have been with us over the last few months, we've been breaking down each division by quarterback each week leading up to the regular season. Now it's time to take a look at the AFC West. And let's start with probably the best division quarterback-wise in the NFL. I think we agree on that, correct?
Yeah,
absolutely. So this was hard. But we came to an agreement, believe it or not, on these rankings. Okay, let's start with number 4. Any other division, Steve, he's probably a 1 or a 2. But in this division, we got him a 4.
Well, we do, man, but you got to look at what he's done, man. He's a very, very accomplished quarterback. He has led 24 fourth-quarter comebacks in his career, winning 30 game-winning drives. I mean, Derek Carr, man, look at his quarterback rating, 94. Man, look at yards, almost 5,000 yards, man. Gonna have to cut down on the interceptions, but we got Derek Carr, number 4.
All right, moving on, number 3. A lot of people feel like he could be the future of this division. Outside of Patrick Mahomes, it's got to be Justin Herbert.
Justin Herbert, man, he did throw for 5,000 yards in there. 38 touchdowns, 15 INTs in his second season as a starting quarterback, 97 quarterback rating. Man, look at, he passed Dan Marino for the most touchdown passes in the first 2 seasons as a pro with 69. Anytime your name is associated with Dan Marino's, that means that you're pretty good.
Yeah, but the only reason he wasn't number 2 was because of the guy we just talked about that went to Denver. You have to have Russell Wilson here. He's earned it, Steve.
The rings and things that we sing about, well, Russell Wilson can bring them out. Man, he only played 14 games for Seattle last year. But look at his completion percentage, man. He's completing almost 65% of his passes, man. Hey, when you let Russ cook, good things happen. Look at his quarterback rating, 103. Man, this dude did it, and he's not going to turn the ball over and throw it to the other team. Only 6 INTs. Yeah, man, I got to go with Russ right now over Justin Herbert.
On top of that, Steve, those numbers are going to go up because he actually has a line to block for him in Denver. That's going to be
he's got guys to catch the damn ball now. How about that?
Yeah, exactly. Well, obviously, number 1 is our number 1 overall. Finally, here it is. It's revealed. Obviously, come on, everybody knew it had to be your homie, right?
It's my homie. It's my homie, Patrick Mahomes. Man, look at me. Look, the numbers don't justify what this guy does. But what I tell you what he does, ever since he's put on a Kansas City Chiefs uniform and started, he's played 363 games and he's won 50 of them. That's all I'm going to say, folks. When this dude is playing, he's winning.
All right, let's take a look at the wrap-up for the AFC West, Steve. You've got Russell Wilson in the division at 2. We've got him at 6 overall. Mahomes at 1 overall. Derek Carr's at 4. We've got him at 10 overall. And then Justin Herbert right in front of him at 3 and 9 overall. So that'll do it for the AFC West. We'll conclude our quarterback breakdowns with the NFC West in next week's show. But now we're not done with the NFL, Steve. It's time for some storylines.
Let's do it.
All right, as we get closer and closer to the regular season, we had all the cuts made this week. We didn't have enough time to get into some of the bigger names that were cut, but we are going to take a look at some stories to keep an eye on leading up to Week 1. And obviously everybody, whether you're in Cleveland or not, is talking about the Browns and the Panthers.
Man, I can't wait. Baker is caught on camera saying, and first off, shame on that reporter, Cynthia, for opening her mouth and saying what Baker said in private. You never tell when somebody says off the record. You never tell. Well, I'm going to tell you what he said. Folks, Baker Mayfield said, I'm going to F up the Browns when I get a chance. And you can't blame him for his thought process. Now, what they've done is they've given him targets. And when you look at that picture, number 2 right there, he is a rising star. Shea Smith is a connection between him and Baker Mayfield that are starting to develop. So they go out and they get the Mr. Chenault, man. And this dude is a Deebo Samuel type. He adds that element to that offense. Man, Carolina, man, Andy, they're loading up. They're loading up.
But I still have a lot of concerns about their offensive line. So if that can hold up, we could be wrong about what we said about the Panthers. We had them going at 5-12.
Yeah.
You know, I am nervous about Week 1, only because it's in Carolina. If it was in Cleveland, Baker would be the one being nervous. All right, speaking of my division and the AFC North, what are the Steelers going to do at quarterback, Steve?
Well, I'm going to tell you what they're going to do. They're going to start the system. They're going to start the season with a commodity that they know, and that's known as Mitch Trubisky. Kenny Pickett, they're going to ease him into it, man. You just don't throw him in hot water, man. You let him, you stick your toe in, and you let him kind of get used to it. let him watch a little bit, man. But I tell you, don't let Mitch start to struggle, okay? Because Kenny Pickett is coming. That Pickett train is riding, folks. And I tell you what, no one believes more so in Kenny Pickett than Kenny Pickett. He gets it, man. I like what the Steelers have done. I like the dilemma.
It's like he's a calmer Baker Mayfield, right? As far as
he's a big guy, man, with a big arm, man. He's been playing in the pro offense, man. He's playing Pat Narduzzi's offense, man. He gets it, man. He understands, man, what to do, man.
And honestly, I watched a little bit of the last preseason game. Trubisky looked good. It looked like he's earned that number one spot for now. So, all right, the surprise of the week to both you and I and the rest of the NFL fan base. Jimmy G's not going anywhere. Last week we talked about where would he go, who would he go to. He's staying right where he's at, Steve. And I think this is a brilliant move by San Francisco. I don't see any other way. They're screwed if Trey Lance gets hurt. They had to do this.
Andy, I don't. Because what you want to do is clear the runway for the new quarterback. You said publicly going right after the season was over, you said you're going to get Garoppolo out of here. It's Trey's team. Now, when Trey Lance misses that tight end over the middle, because it's going to happen, and the people start calling for Jimmy, see, you brought this on yourself, San Francisco. You did this to yourself, okay? You the one that went to snap judgments, okay? So you get what you get. What I see is dysfunction. That's just me.
All right. Well, you would have a better insight than me because that's your division. So you see them a lot more than I do. All right. One more to get to before we get to our poll, and that is the trade that happened this week. I like this move for Minnesota. It gives Kirk Cousins another target. It takes the pressure off of double coverage on Adam Thielen. We already had the Vikings going to the playoffs, Steve. I think this gives us a lot more confidence that they're going to make the wild card.
Well, double coverage wasn't going to Adam Thielen anyway because there's a guy named
Jefferson.
Jefferson that's on that
right.
side. What that's going to do is going to give Justin Jefferson more wide open looks because regularly it's going. People, you got to realize he was the number one draft pick just 2 years ago. So if he comes in and is remote to what he was projected to be, it's a win-win for the Minnesota Vikings.
On top of that, this was an interesting move to me because Rager's name was thrown around as a possibility to get Kareem Hunt to Philadelphia and out of Cleveland because, as we all know, the Browns need receivers. Doesn't matter who the quarterback is, they still need receivers. And the Eagles have Miles Sanders, but they really don't have a backup if he goes down. So I kind of was surprised when I saw that. I don't think Kareem Hunt's an option for them anymore as far as the trade possibility is concerned. So, All right, one other storyline real quick that we didn't have time to create a graphic for, but it's a huge blow, Stephen. I know you know which one I'm talking about. Harold Landry tears his ACL. He's out for the year. That really is a blow for Tennessee's defense, and I think they're going to have a worse record than we thought initially because they don't have him to try to get to the quarterback. He had a career-high 12 sacks last year. They don't have a pass rusher now. They're in trouble.
Well, you know what, man? One thing that they do have is Mike Vrabel, and Mike Vrabel gets it when it comes to defense, man. And, man, what you'll see is those guys, man, there's a lot of unsung heroes and a lot of unsung stars on that team that are cornerstones, especially on the front end of that. So, man, I really don't concern myself with them. I mean, they made nice little moves this week by restructuring the contract of Derrick Henry to try to free up some more space. So look for them to go out and try to make a move to try to offset that.
All right, so that'll do it for the NFL. Now the real story today is it's week 1 in college football. Yes, there were some games on Thursday. Yes, there were some games on Friday. Those games didn't matter. Come on, Steve. Let's be real here.
Well,
before we get to the matchups, we're going to look at our top 10. But I mean, this is a hell of a week 1, and we're about to see why.
It is a great week 1, man, and there's a lot of things that are going to unfold. Man, I can't wait to next week because I'm gonna tell you, I'm sure we're going to see some movement around in our poll. But look, you've seen all of the rest. Okay, this here is the best, and you know that. It's our weekly top 10 college football poll. We call it Keeping It Real Sports Poll. You've heard the rest. Now here's the best. It's the Keeping It Real Sports College Football Poll.
All right, let's get started. Number 10 has not changed for us. It's going to be the Baylor Bears. A lot of people, including Kirk Herbstreit, have Baylor going to the college football playoff.
Well, again, Baylor, man, wrote a strong rushing attack, man, en route to the Big 12 championship. Man, they got a jump on what they're going to see because Blake Shapen, their quarterback, came into the game, the bowl game, to replace Gary Bohannon. Derek Miranda's done a masterful job, man, really rebuilding, man, both sides, the offensive, defensive units on that. Man, they're going to be a strong team. The Baylor Bears are going to be a tough out. Last year, they were 12-2. This week, they got Albany. Man, this is just a chance for them to a dress rehearsal, so to speak, for them.
Yeah. All right. Number 9, Texas A&M.
Yeah. Man, look, Jimbo Fisher, man. I mean, he's got the top recruiting class in the country, man. Man, the Aggies are what they are, man. Man, this tough September schedule is going to be, man, really, really important. They're going to have to get off to a great start. But, man, when you poke the bear, man, Nick Saban, man, good things normally don't happen, man. I can't wait to see what's going to happen when Alabama and Texas A&M lock up. But, man, Texas A&M's got a very talented team. We got them rated number 9.
Number 8, that school up north. We got to give them their respect, Steve. As much as we don't like to, we got to keep it real, right?
And that's what we do, man. We keep it real. Last year they were 12-2, man. They won the Big Ten for the first time since 2004, man. But the defense led the way. But they lost 8 starters from that defense, and more importantly, they lost the colonel of that unit. I'm talking about Mike McDonald, who coordinated that unit and really brought that unit back around to being real disruptive. They've got a lot of guys that they look to plug and play, man. The return of Ronnie Brown is really going to give the offense a boost. But, man, they're going to start 2 different quarterbacks, man, in upcoming weeks. And you know the old adage, if you got 2 quarterbacks, you ain't got none.
That's right.
So
that's right. It's almost like they're that confident they're going to use these first 3 games.
It ain't that. It ain't them. It's him. I mean, Jim. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, true. Number 7, the Oklahoma Sooners, and Dylan Gabriel transferring over, I think, makes this a dangerous football team.
And he's going to be a great fit with the skill set that they already have there. You plug that in with Jeff Levy, the Ole Miss offensive coordinator, and that scheme coming over, and then you bring in a stellar defense, man, that's headlined by Brent Venables and company. Man, Oklahoma is going to be dangerous. They open up, man, against Texas El Paso here today. They were 12-2 last year. Quietly, they were 12-2, and nobody's talking about Oklahoma. You better pay attention to Oklahoma.
Number 6, the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame invade Columbus tonight, Steve. 17.5 is the spread on this game. Notre Dame feels really disrespected. If you look at last year's record, I can understand that, but I just don't think they have the talent this year, but we're going to start him at 6.
Come on, look here. The winningest coach, let's just say it out loud, Andy. The winningest coach in the history of the school leaves. Okay, they bring in a rookie head coach who's never coached a college football game until the bowl game. And oh, by the way, they lost that. And I'm just saying. Oh, by the way, the defense that they lost to was coordinated by Jim Knowles, the Ohio State defensive coordinator that they're going against. And you kind of get where I'm going with this.
Yep.
Okay.
Number 5, one of the teams that you and I think will go all the way to the Final Four, which we'll reveal in a little bit here. But we love this Utah team, and there's a lot of reasons why. But to me, it starts with their defense.
It does, man. Look, the expectations are sky high as the Utes are trying to repeat as Pac-12 champions. But man, what I love is the quarterback, Cameron Rising. Man, and he's got a weapon in Tavion Thomas. The Ohio State Buckeyes saw that up close and personal in the Rose Bowl. They're very physical on both sides of the ball, and we saw that again in the Rose Bowl, where Ohio State had to kind of go into a booth and break off the cape and kind of turn into Superman to overcome that. But man, Utah is very talented, man, and they're very stout on the defensive side of the ball, man. I look for Utah. They're not going away. They're solid. I like the Utah Utes.
Number 4, can Uiagalelei finally delivers, Steve? That is my question with Clemson, and that is why, until we see that he can, we could not justifiably have them in the Final Four.
Well, Andy, what you got to look at is what people have said about DJ. Trevor Lawrence was just the number one quarterback pick, and people thought that he was like heads and shoulders greater than anything that they've ever saw throw the football until they saw DJ throw the damn ball. Okay, and so his ceiling is sky high. Can he reach that ceiling? Well, one thing we know about Dabo is Dabo knows a little bit about football. Dabo knows football. And then the thing that I really started to think about, 10-3 last year. See, most schools are just, man, singing their praises at 10-3. It's a down year for Clemson. And oh, by the way, that wrecking defense will be back. Clemson will be right there.
Yeah, they're right there. And the national champs are right there as well, but we don't think they're number one because of what they lost on defense. But we're going to give them the respect they deserve, and we've got them at 3 right now.
Yeah, well, what they do have returning, man, is in addition to Kirby Smart, who's never lost a opening game. They get Oregon today with Bo Nix and company coming in there. But, man, it's a very talented bunch, man. Georgia ain't going anywhere. They lost a lot on the defensive side of the ball last year to the draft, but they brought a lot back. They had the best guy on that draft that came back, and that's Carter. Jalen Carter, he comes back, so does Stetson Bennett, and the return of Brock Bauer, the tight end, an All-American type tight end. Man, Georgia is loaded.
Yeah, you know who else is loaded? The Ohio State Buckeyes, number 2.
Yeah, and we get a chance to see them in prime time tonight as they host Notre Dame. Last year, 11-2. Again, 11-2 in most programs. People are thumping their chest. We had a great year. Not at Ohio State. It was a down year for the Buckeyes. The defense let them down. They bring in Jim Knowles. He comes in. He fixes that defense. Man, this defense is going to be really scrappy. Get after it. Look for the Buckeyes to improve defensively. We already know when the Buckeyes roll out of bed on Saturday morning, they bring 40 points to the party with them, man. That happens every Saturday. So you tighten up that defense, man, and the Buckeyes are in for a long Big Ten run.
That's what I'm going to be watching tonight more than anything else is that side of the football. I'm not worried about the offense unless CJ goes down, but let's hope that doesn't happen. And number 1, obviously, it's got to be Alabama, right? Yes, they lost in the national championship, but they also had some injuries that could have changed the course of that game happen in that game, and they're pissed, Steve. And when Nick Saban and his guys get motivated, look out.
No, how about going to the transfer portal and bringing in 5 of the top damn players in the country? How about that? That's what he did. He's already to a loaded squad, man. It's almost not fair. So, Nick Saban, you can miss me with that, oh, they got the better recruiting class. Miss me with that one, Nick. We know about you.
Yeah, and he won't, it's funny because he'll take advantage of the transfer portal, but in an interview that I watched a couple weeks ago where it was him and Deion Sanders on SportsCenter, he had some criticisms of the transfer portal. A little hypocritical there. But, all right, let's take a look at some other key games before we get to who you got, right? Some big ones today, Steve. We talked about Georgia, Oregon, Utah, Florida, and we saw on Thursday night the banger in the backyard brawl between Pittsburgh and West Virginia. What a phenomenal game. I'll tell you what, I watched the end of that Penn State-Purdue game, and that ended up being a great game as well. Cincinnati, Arkansas, battle of 2 teams in the top 25. Give me one game outside of the obvious that you're looking forward to watching today.
Georgia against Oregon. Dan Lanning returns to Georgia. He was the defensive coordinator last year. They won the national championship for Georgia. He inherits Bo Nix, who comes over via the transfer portal from Auburn. So he gets a solid quarterback. But he inherited Noah Sewell, a talented linebacker that's expected to go in the first round. So, man, I'm going to be interesting to see what Oregon can do defensively with what Dan Lanning knows about the offense of the Georgia Bulldogs. It could be tough sledding early on for Georgia. But I just, in the long run, I think Georgia has too much talent.
Yeah, I think that's the game I've got my eye on as well. But you know what I'll be doing this afternoon. It's Clash at the Castle, man. It's going to get me my nerves through until Ohio State kicks off tonight.
Well,
All right.
Some of us have to work, Andy.
Yeah.
Some of us have to work.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be covering the fight for Keeping It Real Sports.
Yes, and I appreciate that. And so do all of our fans. Trust me. But just remember this. You're choosing to work. I didn't tell you to go cover the fight tonight. So, all right. Speaking of coverage, you know what it's time for? It's time for the return. And can I defend my college championship? And who you got?
Well, we're going to find out if you can do all of that. But in the meantime, who you got?
Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready?
As always, you pick some tough games when it comes to the spread, but that's what makes this such a fun segment, right? I forgot to pull the records from last year, but that's not important because that was last year, right? You kicked my butt in NFL. I kicked your butt in college. Let's see if we can both do the same thing this year. Let's start it off with a tough pick. And we had it on our feature game. We're going to go with Cincinnati and Arkansas. Arkansas is at home. Cincinnati lost Desmond Ridder. But, Steve, it's week 1, and I don't see a lot of blowouts in games like this in week 1. I'm going to trust Luke Fickell's defense, and I think Cincinnati's going to cover on the road. I'm taking Cincinnati under 6.
What people don't understand, Andy, is Cincinnati has won the most games in the last 2 years. More games. The only team that's won more games than Cincinnati in that time frame is Alabama. Okay? So let that soak in. Mm-hmm. They're -6, but they lost a ton to the NFL. They're going to on the road to play Arkansas. Arkansas has that quarterback who is a problem. A dual threat quarterback in your first game on the road. DJ and company, and then you bring in the linebacker from Alabama to help shore up that defense. Give me the Hogs, man. I take Arkansas.
All right, our second game. One of our Final Four, the Utah Utes, are going to go into the swamp, and they're going to take on a Florida Gator team that nobody's heard of for the last 4 or 5 years. Is this a trap game for Utah? I don't think so. I like the Utes on the road. They make a statement today, and they don't just cover. They win outright in this game.
You know, it's not many times that I really wholeheartedly agree with you, Andy. This happens to be one of them, okay? I'm rolling with Utah, man. I think Cam Rising and company is going to be just too much for Florida this early on. Florida's going to be a good team later.
And then our last game of the week, Florida State goes down to the Bayou to take on Brian Kelly and the LSU Tigers. Now, to me, this was an interesting game as far as I knew you were going to put this on the docket. But what I'll tell you is what I've seen with these 4 eyes, really. And all I've seen over the last 10 years of watching college football, LSU doesn't lose at night, Steve. There's no way they're losing this game. Give me the Tigers at home.
LSU don't lose at home, okay? Brian Kelly comes in. Man, I'm sorry, Florida State. I know you had a successful week last week. This ain't last week. You're going into Tigerville. You're going to be Tiger meat tonight. I like LSU.
All right, so we almost, in the first week of the season, we almost agreed on all 3. But I had to switch it up. Come on, I knew you were going to take Arkansas. So you're welcome if you go 3-0. Okay, but
when I go 3-0, right?
Yeah, when you go 3-0. Okay. Hey, listen, 2-1's not a bad start either. All right, we talked about it earlier. Let's officially reveal it. Here's our Final Four: Alabama, Utah, Ohio State, and Georgia.
Yeah, I pretty much, man. Alabama is a heavy favorite, man. Everywhere, man. Anybody you talk to, the Buckeyes are loaded this year, man. Georgia, man. The only game they're really gonna lose is to Alabama, man. I mean, Georgia's defense is just ferocious, and Utah is a lot better than America thinks. I think they make the statement tonight to kind of let people know that they are for real.
All right, that was our poll. Can you throw up an "Are you serious" for me, please?
Oh man, sometimes, man, the squirrel, man, and I'm talking about Desmond Howard. He comes up with some dumb stuff, man, and that dude. I mean, like, come on, man, Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh. I mean, like, are you ready to get up off of Pittsburgh after what you saw in the backyard brawl?
Listen, I guess he believes in Keaton Slovis transferring over. He played all right, but the defense had to win that game for him.
I mean, the Texas A&M pick. Okay, I mean, maybe. Well, how can you have a playoff bracket and not have Alabama, Georgia, or Ohio State in it? I'm sorry, you're drunk.
All right, that means next week is the 50th episode of Keeping It Real.
I got to open for you. Oh yeah. We kick off the NFL season. Yeah, man. We got to drop the old season to open the new season.
All right.
Yeah, man. We got to open for you, man. 50 of these shows in. Of course, man. It only gets better. Man. Hey, look, make sure you like and subscribe, man. Click that like button, man. You guys been watching every week, man. I got people that watch every week. You're not a subscriber, man. Hey, man, you got to subscribe, man. Look out for us.
Yeah.
Get that. I don't care if you subscribe on Keeping It Real TV. I don't care if you subscribe on Steve's TV. Just subscribe. We need you.
And click those notifications, too, because every new episode will automatically pop up and remind you it's time to watch Keeping It Real Sports.
I always do that, man.
But you know what it's time for? It's time for us to get on out of here.
And it's been fun, but we got to run.
So until next time, we wish you love
and peace. Deuces.